Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is October the 20th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Monday, happy Garfield Day to you. Hopefully you got that lasagna. Hopefully you got 2 pieces, not just 2 pieces. Hopefully you got a couple pieces of bread on that plate, baby. For me, my day was good. I got mine. It was solid. We got up, I will say, an hour earlier than I wanted to. So that was a bit unfortunate. But we kind of just rolled around in bed, did the little tussle, and then we got up. We got after it. I will say I started off with some morning coffee, had a little bit of my cold coffee from the refrigerator. Because usually what I like to do when I make my coffee, I don't think I'll explain this, but I make a hot pot, I have a hot cup. And then the remainder, because I live alone by myself, I usually would throw out. But after a random Christmas, I believe, I had gotten a shaker bottle. And I was like, I never use this thing. And I just started using it to, hold on to my coffee, just to hold the coffee, and then just have it in the refrigerator. And it's like, well, why a shaker bottle? You could just do something else. And it's like, yeah, but because I had the whole thing with the creamer, longtime listeners know, I would do the whipped cream. And I kind of wanted something to simulate that because whenever I do the dry creamer in the cold coffee, it just doesn't work. I don't know why. I'm not a scientist. I can't explain it to you, but it wasn't jiving. So I kind of went back to my old ways with the whipped cream and then the shaker bottle, and I would just shake it up and I would have the kind of coffee I liked. So it worked out pretty well. That's my strat for the cold coffee. So I had some cold coffee to start my day, and then we got after it. And I had a good idea of what I was going into because, we're working the Sundays now, and I had literally the slowest shift. There was no buggies, no action. But I also know that, like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, the new day could bring a whole new person, a whole new situation. So I, walked in with bated breath. And it was more than I expected, I will say that, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't overwhelming, and I was like, all right, I rubbed my hands together, Birdman style, and I said, let's get after it, let's get it. And, the day went as it should have, and it was a solid day. No problems, no complaints, and, also, I think this might be a busy week for the warehouse, or it might not be. It might be one of those planned situations because we have, once again, the Nepali population at our warehouse essentially going to be either on holiday or, some kind of thing for Diwali. So that's the occasion this week. And I was like, this is, for some, I literally mentioned this, I think 2 weeks ago. And then it popped up and I'm like, oh yeah, this is happening. But, it just depends. It depends on, I guess, people's PTO and, how set they are to, to do it. Are they going to come into work? Are they going to take the days off? So we'll see. Time will tell. But hopefully it'll be a chill week. Gonna knock on wood for that. But yeah, overall, we just kind of kept marching through the day. It didn't pile up, so that was good. Just kind of kept it at a good pace. We didn't overfill the crusher either. So, things were solid. Things were good. We got through with work, and then we went to the gym. And, of course, it's a Monday. It's very busy. And I initially got to the Smith machines all taken up. And I was like, whoop, wah, 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 wah. And I go over to the freeway area, and I literally can't even find an incline bench. They're all taken, so I'm just on a flat bench, ready to just go with this flow. And then I look back over, and someone is getting off a Smith machine, and I just go right over to it. And I was like, all right, we're locked in, we're here, let's get it. So I was able to get a Smith machine set in, got my whole routine done there, went back to the free weights, got the kind of bench I wanted. I'm like, everything is coming up, Zay. We love it. So that was great. I will say, though, get done with that, and I start realizing, everyone is on a machine that I want to be on. And I just don't want to fight them. I don't want to get in the queue to do a leg press. You know what I'm saying? So I just did a little bit of core work. I'm trying to think if I even hit anything else after that. I think that was more or less it. Like I said, all the machines were kind of taken at that moment. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just hit cardio, baby. And we just did our hour of cardio and we got out of there. So overall, it was a good workout session. Just kind of missed my filler, equipment routine stuff. But I mean, hey, that'll be waiting for me another day. I'm sure it'll be fine. Overall, pump felt good. So yeah, that's been my day. It's been a solid day. I really don't have much to complain about, so we're good there. Thumbs up, two of them things. I will say though, I guess I had a little bit of a thorn, but it's actually a bit news related. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do our startup, and then we'll go ahead and roll right into it. I don't know if you can hear that, but upstairs they're playing some I don't know, house music. I don't know, some kind of bumping thing. All right, get it on a Monday. Shit, they getting their lasagna at the club. Ooh, hot diggity. Okay, actually, I have two complaints. One, it's getting colder. Don't like that. Boo to the cold. And I know my friends are saying I switched. They're saying I changed. Yeah, I got smaller, and now when it's like below 62 degrees, I get really cold. So yeah, I don't like this. I'm not a fan. I'm waking up freezing. This is ruining my naps. So yeah, it is what it is. But the second problem was I was having internet issues throughout the day on like random apps and things of that nature. I don't know if you're listening to this on the day, if you had a similar situation. There's a reason for that though. I'm seeing BC. AWS services recover after day-long outage hits major sites. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, a leader in the cloud infrastructure market, reported a major outage on Monday that took down numerous major websites. Many sites came back online within a few hours, although Down Detector showed another spike in user reports around noon Eastern Time of outages at Amazon, AWS, and Alexa. The company's latest update at 6:53 p.m. Eastern Time noted that all AWS services returned to normal operations shortly after 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Some services continue to have a backlog of messages that will finish processing in the next few hours, AWS said. The update came after outages and delays persisted into Monday afternoon, with the company observing increased error rates for customers when trying to launch new instances in EC2, its popular cloud service that provides virtual service capacity. We are working to fully restore service as quickly as possible, the company wrote at the time. Around 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, AWS said it was starting to see early signs of EC2 recovery in some regions, that it was applying fixes to remaining areas, at which point we expect launch errors and network connectivity issues to subside. Let's see here, scrolling ahead a bit. AWS cited an operational issue affecting multiple services and said it was working on multiple parallel paths to accelerate recovery. In an update at 5:01 a.m. Eastern Time, more than 70 of its own services were affected. Let's see. AWS is a leading provider of cloud infrastructure technology, accounting for around a third of the market, ahead of Microsoft and Google, according to Synergy Research Group. Millions of companies and organizations rely on AWS for cloud computing services such as servers and storage. Down Detector showed user reports indicating problems at sites including Disney Plus, Lyft, the McDonald's app, the New York Times, Reddit, Ring doorbells, Robinhood, Snapchat, United Airlines, T-Mobile, and Venmo. So, I mean, for me, I'm on Metro PCS, aka Metro piece of shit. But that's a subsidiary under T-Mobile. But truly, I have like internet issues all the fucking time at the job, so I kind of expect it. But it was running a bit slower on things. I noticed that even on some of my little game app stuff, that I was having a bit of connection issues. So I mean, I don't know, maybe that was just coincidental, but it does seem that it does kind of line up. I was talking to a friend, and they were telling me in their line of work, which I won't get into the specifics of, they were getting jammed up and their whole day was backed up because of this whole situation. And I was, and they had came back on. They're like, "Hey, is Snapchat working?" And I was like, "Oh, I mean, yeah, I think so." And that was when I was kind of realizing that, oh, it's not just my phone. It's not just me. Like, nor is this just like a random blip radar thing. This AWS stuff is really affecting a lot of people and a lot of things. And I was like, oh, damn. But usually these things get worked out pretty quickly. So that's why I usually don't wind up covering them. Like, oh, Verizon goes down or Sprint goes down. These things happen. But then, usually by dinner time, everything's up and running, which is really what this was too. But something like AWS just affects so many things. And, today I learned. So, I'm glad that things are back and running. Hopefully you weren't jammed up or your day wasn't ruined by any of this kind of stuff. But I figured I'd just go ahead and start with that right off the top. All right, let's move on to our other news. I won't linger any longer. From Yahoo Finance, Trump's rare earth pact with Australia sets the table for a highly anticipated meeting with China next week. President Trump and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese signed the framework of the critical minerals deal Monday that aims to boost U.S. access to both the mining and processing of Australian rare earth resources. It was a move aimed squarely at China, which recently moved to choke off its own rare earth mineral exports, and is set to be the first display of friendliness between Trump and China's regional adversaries in the days ahead. We'll be doing a bit of a tour, Trump said Monday at the White House. I'll be in Malaysia. I'll be in Japan. It's a coordinated string of diplomatic outreach that, far from coincidentally, comes as the anticipation grows for a meeting between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping set for next week in South Korea. So I think I do just kind of want to leave this here and just kind of say, hey, this is a big update. This is the big counter move, I guess you could say, by Trump outside of the actual, oh, we're just raising tariffs to like 100-something%. I will at least say, I'll give him credit. There seems to be a bit of tact here. I also kind of like this too, because I was listening to Odd Lots. It's kind of, a callback from, plus a month or so ago where, the rare earth minerals thing was a big conversation, and it's been a big conversation. But there was someone who was on the podcast saying like, yes, it's a big deal, but America does have means of getting rare earth minerals other places. It's just going to cost us money that we don't want to spend. And if we can get it for China for cheaper, why wouldn't we, right? That's what we're trying to fight for. That's what we're trying to do. But we see China saying, okay, we're going to make these kind of moves. This is our time to maybe do this or that. And then you have Trump saying, oh, no, you don't. So I think this is the counterplay, right? Which is saying, hey, we're going to play alongside our allies, which are potentially your rivals, given the potential, political climate situation, whatever, and we're going to make some deals and we're going to make some things happen so that we shore up this rare earth minerals thing, which is kind of like, okay, good. So I feel like less of a dummy for saying that, because I really didn't hear anyone else saying that, and I felt kind of silly. I was like, oh, I only heard one guy say that. Am I getting one guy? Am I now the two guy? But no, this seems to be the gambit that we're running here. Also, I have to just make this mention, because part of the reason I put it in the thumbnail is you just have, Albanese on the left, and then you have Trump on the right. And Trump is looking at this thing like it is a rockin' set. He's like, look at this agreement. Look at this big, beautiful agreement. He looks like he's loving it. It looks like he's liking it. And so is Albanese. He looks quite pleased to be holding such a big document. This does seem like a big win for Australia. I don't know how much we're coming up on this, as America, but I also got to be real. I think you guys know how I'm rocking. I'm usually going to root for any of our adversaries. I'm sorry. I know that's sus. That's turncoat energy, but unless we're talking about like a Western hegemon kind of situation, we're talking some allies. No, dude, I'm kind of rooting for us to kind of lose, because we're being assholes, especially nowadays. We're being assholes about this shit. We generally usually are when we're dealing internationally. But, we'll see how things play out for sure. When Xi Jinping and Trump meet in South Korea, that'll be interesting. That'll be a moment. But yeah, things are lining up for Trump to kind of make these kind of deals like he is with Australia here. And hey, maybe we do come out on top with this rare earth mineral situation. Maybe we do rout China here, but I don't know. We'll see. Definitely felt worth yapping about it a little bit. So I figured, hey, let's just go ahead and do that. Obviously, there's more details that you can read over at Yahoo Finance. They would say it better than I could. That's for sure. Anyway, speaking of things that I'm going to say, we're going to do a read along. That's our next one. So I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to gear up. But while I do that, can I tell you, I tell you guys, what has been haunting me? That story with the big heist in France, the Louvre. I think I'm saying it right now, right? The Louvre. I literally talked to my friend right after because he had sent me the story, and I was like, yeah, I got so cooked talking about it. It just felt so dumb. I couldn't say any of the words. Y'all know I'm so bad with pronouncing shit. But what's in a name? What's in the Louvre? Not those jewels. Well, some of them. Anyway. Also, while we're talking about that, I'm still cooked over that crane. I'm still like wondering why they tried to burn it down. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe for the evidence, maybe they thought they could get rid of some fingerprints, but that just doesn't seem foolproof. I'm still giving them negative points for that, by the way. But once again, still crazy heist. It's just like a movie. Anyway, something that's not like a movie. We're talking elections. Unless we're talking like what, Ides of March. Not a fun movie. Not recommending it. But anyway, from CNN, centrist Rodrigo Paz wins Bolivian presidency, ending nearly 20 years of leftist rule. Centrist Rodrigo Paz won Bolivia's presidential runoff on Sunday, defeating conservative rival Jorge Tuta Quiroga as the country's worst economic crisis in a generation helped propel the end of nearly 2 decades of leftist rule. Paz, a senator from the Christian Democratic Party, won 54.5% of the vote, beating Quiroga's 45.5%, according to early results from Bolivia's electoral tribunal. But Paz's party does not hold a majority in the country's legislature, which will force him to forge alliances to govern effectively. The new president takes office on November 8th. The 58-year-old senator's win marks a historic shift for the South American country, governed almost continuously since 2006 by Bolivia's movement to socialism, or MAS, which once enjoyed overwhelming support from the country's indigenous majority. Paz's moderate platform, pledging to maintain social programs while promoting private sector-led growth, appeared to resonate with left-leaning voters disillusioned by the ruling MAS founded by former President Evo Morales, but wary of Quiroga's proposed austerity measures. So I do have to add that between these two candidates, yes, this is the lesser of two evils. Like we're getting the Kamala Harris pick in Bolivia in a way, and I guess that's good. But I heard this guy when I was like driving to work on the BBC. And just talking about like essentially trying to say we're going to give capitalism to everyone, capitalism for all. And like this idea, I think can sound sweet. I think to me, even from like, 5 plus, around 10 years ago or so, I'd eat some shit like that up. Like, okay, cool. That's great. Everyone's going to start winning. Like, and I also understand too, that like you're going through economic crisis. You're going through turmoil. You're going through fiscal pain that like this isn't getting solved here. And they're only kind of saying, hey, you just got to keep gritting your teeth and we're going to keep getting through this. So you want to see anything. That's what I feel like happened with Argentina, and now they're facing that referendum now, with their elections coming up, not necessarily on Malay, but the people who are elected for that, I'm getting in the weeds. But I understand how you want to just say we'll take anyone else but this, but this feels like a loss no matter what, and I guess like once again, I'm happy that it's not the most conservative person, because then you're probably only going to see worse with the austerity measures, package. But, that's just how I view it. That being said, like I said, am I a big fan of Paz? Obviously not. But support for MAS cratered in August, first round amid a deepening economic crisis. This election marks a political turning point, said Gladys Gonzalez Calanchi. Ooh, if I fucked that up. Analyst for the Southern Andes at International Crisis Group. Bolivia is headed in a new direction, she said. Both runoff candidates pledged to strengthen diplomatic ties with Washington, strained since 2009, and seek U.S.-backed financial support to stabilize Bolivia's fragile economy. And that year matters, right? Because obviously that means we're not just talking like conservative administrations. We're just talking both sides of the fucking aisle here that essentially see something that is socialist and go, ew, icky, gross. Let's let them rot. Let's let them die. Let's not help them as much. Let's, little hands off, Drewski meme, and, we'll see what happens. And then you see a turn of the worm, and then, of course, it really doesn't matter who you are. You're kind of happy to see that in that administration. I mean, you see that with Venezuela and their push for someone like, Machado or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? That's why they're like, Maduro's really bad. Which, once again, Maduro, not good. Sure. But, like, essentially, you hate him because he's socialist. And you've been wanting anyone that's not socialist, so you'll take that. I don't know. I'm talking a lot. Anyway, in late September, Paz unveiled plans for a $1.5 billion economic cooperation deal with the United States to ensure fuel supplies. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said this week that both presidential candidates want stronger, better relations with the United States after decades of anti-American leadership. This election is a transformative opportunity, he said on October 15th. Outside a polling station in La Paz, Lourdes, Mendoza, she said she had grown weary of the MAS era. My children were born and raised with a single government, she said. I hope they can see other possibilities and alternatives. And that's another thing, too. I'm talking a lot of shit from my American-ass fucking, high horse or whatever, my fucking armchair. At the end of the day, the people are saying what they're going to say. And, I obviously got to go, that is what it is. That's the way the wind blows. I feel like I was on the same kind of shit when it came to Argentina. And, it sucks to see, but that's kind of the way of the road. I don't know. Once again, we're looking at things from a bird's eye. And do I like how it looks? Do I like seeing things drag away from the left and go to, inevitably they're just going further to the right. You can, and plus, how good is it in the center when you're still not getting your needs met? So, you know what I mean? Like, that's the letdown. That's the fucking bummer, right? That's why I understand why people do not like participating in election processes and shit like that. I really can't fucking fight you on that. You got me, dead to rights. But, I also just don't believe in inaction. But, I know. I'm trying to cover so many things in one article. But, this evoked a lot to talk about. So I really wanted to just talk about it as I read through it, I guess, and really just get my thoughts out in the audio. I don't know. Bolivia's fragile economy dominated the runoff campaign. Once plentiful natural gas exports have plummeted, inflation is at a 40-year high and fuel is scarce. Both candidates campaigned to roll back elements of the MAS era state-led model, but differed over how drastically. Paz favored gradual reform, including tax incentives for small businesses and regional fiscal autonomy, while Quiroga proposed sweeping cuts and an IMF bailout. We're going for a new stage of Bolivian democracy in the 21st century, Paz told Reuters. 2 days before the election, at his family's ranch in the southern gas-producing region of Tarija. We're going to try to build an economy for the people, he said, one where the state is no longer going to be the central axis. Yeah, we're going to have some private guys involved. Yeah, and they're going to private stuff. They're going to do so right by us in the private sector where they just care about making money for themselves. Yeah, that's going to be so good for the people. Some voters said they were not convinced that his victory represented a true break from MAS. I think he's a puppet of the outgoing government, said 21-year-old Esther Miranda from La Paz, who works in the nail salon. Paz's campaign was boosted by his running mate, Edmund Lara, a former police officer known for viral TikTok viral TikTok videos exposing corruption. Lara's populist appeal helped Paz connect with younger and working class voters, analysts said, which that was very fucking icky. So you have a literal TikTok cop as your running mate? Bro, like, I'm glad this isn't a video experience because you'd just be seeing me. Anyway. Economists warn the incoming administration faces immediate challenges, including securing fuel supplies and building coalitions in a fragmented legislature. Outgoing hydrocarbons minister Alejandro Gallardo, that would hit. Anyway, said last week that the state energy company was struggling to obtain foreign currency for fuel imports. Paz told Reuters I went back to my old ways. Reuters. Paz told Reuters he was already addressing the issue through deferred payment agreements with fuel suppliers to ensure diesel and gasoline arrive within days of his inauguration. Paz said he would also begin phasing out universal fuel subsidies. Targeted support would go to vulnerable groups, while bigger industries such as agribusiness would pay market rates for fuel. So there you go. Read the whole thing. I said my shit along the way. I'll leave it there. Like I said, bit of a bummer if you fucking ask me. But I mean, yeah, could put my hands up, say it could be worse. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our last story. I'm gonna take a water break. I'm hoarse, and then we're gonna take just our overall last break. So feel free. Let's chime in together if if that's what you're into. And then we're gonna go to Yemen, and we have a bit of a problem, a bit of a snafu, a kerfuffle, as you know I'd like to say. Oh, man. Oh. I feel like I'm in my chopped unk era. I don't know if my listeners, if my listeners are my age or older, they don't know what that means. And I understand. That's fair. But I'm chopped. Like, I think I'm used up. I think I'm unk. I think I'm old. I think I'm washed, also what the kids are saying. I think that might be me. But that's okay. I don't mind being chopped unk. It's essentially like it's your spinster era, I feel. I kind of feel like and I think that would fit for me. I think I am in my spinster era. I just want to just do my little hobby. Like, this is my crocheting. This is my knitting. And, like, so is the gym. That's my, like, little racquetball. That's my pickleball. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm getting my time. And, I'm just working. I don't know. It feels good. I wish it was like a chopped cheese, though. That would be cool. That would have a positive connotation. That's the kind of chopped I want to be. I don't know. Ooh. Also, another phrase I was thinking about, like, oh, her body is tea, it's serving. That's the thing I think about. And I think about my body, and I'm like, what liquid am I serving currently? And I'm like, I think I'm serving like whole milk. I don't know. I think I'm serving, Bud Heavy, Budweiser. I don't know. It's probably, I'm not serving tea quite yet. I'm working on it. That's my life goals. I'm trying to make my body tea. Look, I don't know. This is what the kids are saying. We hopped into a bit of a kid talk, not kid talk, but the youth talk, Zoomer talk, alpha speak. I don't know. Whatever the kids are saying these days. I'm trying to keep up with the youth. Anyway, from the Associated Press, Yemen's Houthi rebels detain 20 UN employees and confiscate equipment. Iranian-backed, I love that. I love when they just start off with that. Iranian-backed Houthi rebels detained 24 UN employees Sunday, a day after they raided another UN facility in the capital of Sana'a, a UN official said. Jean Alam, a spokesman for the UN resident coordinator for Yemen, told the Associated Press that the UN staffers were detained inside the facility in Sanaa's southwestern neighborhood of Hada. He said those detained Sunday include 5 Yemenis and 15 international staff. He said the rebels released another 11 UN staffers after questioning. So there you go. At least there's that part. He said the UN was in contact with the Houthis and other parties to resolve the serious situation as swiftly as possible, end the detention of all personnel, and restore full control over its facilities in Sana'a. A second UN official, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss the raid, said the rebels confiscated all communications equipment from the facility, including phones, servers, and computers. The official said the detained employees belong to multiple UN agencies, including the World Food Program, UNICEF, and the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. The Houthis have launched a long-running crackdown against the UN and other international organizations working in rebel-held areas in Yemen, including Sana'a. the coastal city of Hodeida, and the rebel stronghold in Sada province in northern Yemen. Dozens of people, including over 50 UN staffers, have been detained so far. A World Food Program worker died in detention earlier this year in Sada. The rebels have repeatedly alleged without evidence that detained UN staffers and those working in other international groups and foreign embassies were spies. The UN fiercely denied the accusations. And I mean, that's fair, and they aren't putting up evidence for that. I get it. But I have heard stories like this. It has come out that, we leak the information. We find out later that's like, these people were actually not doctors. They weren't Doctors Without Borders. They were actually people who were here to actually spy on you. And so, I mean, these are things that, while might be unfounded in the moment, there are historical, this has happened before. So I do get that, I do understand that. Now, that doesn't justify the fucking behavior. It doesn't say, hey, it doesn't mean, we're going to raid you because you guys are all spies. We just know that now. It's like, no, that's speculative and you can't really do that. But, these are things that can happen. The crackdown forced the UN to suspend its operations in Sada province in northern Yemen following the detention of 8 staffers in January. The UN also relocated its top humanitarian coordinator in Yemen from Sana'a to the coastal city of Aden, which serves as a seat for the internationally recognized government. Now, I haven't heard too much on this story. I know there are some articles up, though. So I will keep you posted on what I learn in the future. Obviously, I'm hoping that these staffers get out safely. This would be so fucking scary. And that's the thing. And this is me being a jaded fucking prick. But I hear stories like this and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm chill. Hey, being a good person, doing the right thing, that's so fucking sick. And this is where you guys get to see the real me. I am not the hero of any kind of story. I'm just the guy who's sitting in a chair because you would never catch me doing this shit. This is I don't even get to travel because I don't want to even get locked up abroad. Okay, I have stupid irrational fears. So it's God forbid, I'm just doing my shit and then I got fucking done up. So I never had the humanitarian drive to be I'm gonna go out and help the world and do right by the world. I'm gonna use my privilege for good. Nope, I'm cool, man. I'm gonna use my privilege to go to Wawa and get a fucking cheese-filled pretzel. I'm that piece of shit, y'all. I mean, that's real. That's all I can be with you is try to keep it as 100 as I can. I'm not the hero in the story. I'm just the yapper. But yes, obviously, I hope that no one else dies outside of the one mentioned in the story here. And I gotta say, nobody died outside of that guy. So heck yeah. What I feel like we've had a lot of death. We were usually on a high string of that, unfortunately. That kind of comes with the territory with the news, at least the news that I wind up picking. But, hell yeah, that's good. Once again, silver linings, put it in the playbook. I love that. And that's where we're going to leave it for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/AZANews. Become a newsie today. Roll calls are going to be coming up. So, top of the month, I shout you out, say your name, plug a project if you like. That's an option. Let's see. Free ways, though, to hit me up. Contact me, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Let's see, leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. That's always helpful for the review. Thank you if you do those things. But even if you don't do those things, thank you if you are listening to this. If you're still listening to me speak, thank you so much. It means so much for you to hang out with me and let me hang out with you in what you do every day or however often you like to listen. However, even if you're doing a binge while you're on a trip, I love hearing that shit. Let me know that shit. Send me news. News. N-E-W-S. Send me that. I love talking about news with my friends and potentially strangers if you're nice to me. But no, just thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.